For a large part of history, the United Kingdom's prosperity has often been achieved at the expense of smaller nations and colonies, particularly Ireland. During the days of the British Empire, the UK drew wealth from territories around the globe, with Ireland long positioned as a dependent neighbor rather than an equal partner. As the UK emerged as a financial and business powerhouse in Europe, it continued to attract opportunity, investment, and talent, often from the countries surrounding it, including Ireland. However, this traditional dynamic is now undergoing a remarkable shift. Over the past 30 years, Ireland has fundamentally reshaped its economic standing. The nation that was once considered among the poorest in Western Europe has undergone a transformation that few anticipated. A major turning point was the Celtic Tiger era, a period of rapid economic expansion that spanned from the mid-1990s to the late 2000s. During this time, Ireland rose swiftly, evolving from a struggling agrarian society into one of Europe's wealthiest nations. In contrast, the United Kingdom now finds itself mired in economic and political uncertainty. Over the past 15 years, it has experienced sluggish growth, widening inequality, and deep political instability. Brexit in particular has played a pivotal role in altering the country's global position. Meanwhile, Ireland has surged ahead, attracting a surge of foreign investment, luring top talent, and establishing itself as a magnet for multinational corporations in fields such as technology, pharmaceuticals, and finance. The magnitude of this turnaround is hard to ignore. Ireland is no longer merely catching up. It is surpassing the UK in some key areas, most notably GDP per capita. It is expected to outpace the UK by the end of the decade, a symbolic and material shift in economic power. A growing number of global businesses now prefer Ireland as their European base of operations. The reasons are clear: a skilled labor force, a pro-business regulatory environment, low corporate taxes, and full access to the EU market. While the UK faces internal disarray and external isolation, Ireland is reaping the benefits of its strategic choices and stable positioning. This reversal of roles highlights Ireland's successful embrace of globalization, smart policy making, and integration within the European Union. To better appreciate how this happened, it's essential to look back. Ireland's remarkable rise can be traced to the 1990s, when the country began attracting unprecedented levels of foreign direct investment. The phrase Celtic Tiger, first coined by economist Kevin Gardner in a 1994 report, likened Ireland to the booming Asian tiger economies of Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and South Korea, nations that experienced extremely rapid industrial growth from the 1950s onward. From 1995 to 2000, Ireland's economy grew by an astonishing average of 9.4% per year. Over the broader period from 1987 to 2007, the country's GDP increased by more than 229%. This boom lifted the country out of its long-standing economic stagnation. Ireland, which had been among Europe's most underdeveloped economies for centuries, started to modernize quickly. Much of this success can be credited to its EU membership, which began in 1973, adoption of the euro, and embrace of international trade. According to the European Commission, Ireland's transition from an agriculture-dependent economy to one driven by tech, finance, and exports was significantly supported by the EU. In 1973, about 45% of Ireland's jobs were in the services sector. By 2022, that number had risen to 77%. This transformation laid the groundwork for modern Ireland's prosperity. Today, major global corporations like Google, Apple, Meta, and Pfizer have established significant operations in Ireland. This business presence has contributed to one of the world's highest GDP per capita levels, over $131,000 in 2025, according to World Atlas. Only Luxembourg and Singapore are ahead. A major contributing factor is Ireland's corporate tax regime. With a general corporate tax rate of 12.5% and even lower rates for companies engaged in R&D, Ireland offers one of the most attractive business environments in the developed world. This compares favorably with the UK's rate of 19% and its sluggish investment levels. What's particularly striking is how Ireland managed to become such an economic heavyweight with relatively little fanfare. It quietly implemented policies, nurtured foreign investment, modernized infrastructure, and invested in education, all while maintaining political stability. The results speak for themselves. By contrast, the UK's fortunes have taken a sharp downward turn. The decision to leave the EU proved economically costly. It triggered the departure of capital, talent, and business. Brexit created new trade barriers, severed access to the EU's single market, and led many firms to seek alternative bases in cities that still offered full EU access, Dublin being a prime choice. The financial services sector was especially affected. Dublin became a magnet for banks, investment firms, and other financial institutions that previously operated out of London. Even before the full impact of Brexit was felt, Irish regulators had already secured agreements with over a dozen London-based financial firms to shift at least part of their operations to Dublin. By 2019, multinational giants like JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Barclays had moved significant funds and operations there. In the years that followed, Ireland continued to benefit from these relocations. As of 2025, around 30 banks from the European Economic Area, including many previously headquartered in London, have a presence in Dublin per the Central Bank of Ireland. These shifts highlight a fundamental reorientation of European finance. At the same time, the UK has faced other significant hurdles. Volatile currency markets, stagnating productivity, outdated infrastructure, and a chaotic political scene marked by frequent leadership changes. 5 prime ministers in just 7 years. These conditions have weakened investor confidence and undermined the UK's economic competitiveness. One of the more symbolic signs of change is the reversal in migration patterns between the UK and Ireland. For generations, Irish citizens emigrated to Britain in search of better opportunities. Events like the Great Famine, economic downturns, and the hardships of the early 20th century drove millions to cities like Liverpool and London. But that trend has changed. Increasingly, young Irish professionals are staying in Ireland or returning from abroad, drawn by strong job prospects and a high standard of living. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of British citizens have applied for Irish passports post-Brexit to retain their EU citizenship and the associated rights. In 2020 alone, over 450,000 Irish passports were issued, with a significant percentage coming from applicants in the UK. This population shift is also evident in the growth of Irish cities. Dublin, for instance, continues to expand steadily. Its metro area population reached 1.29 million in 2024, a 1.18% increase from the previous year. While London is regaining population loss during the pandemic, Ireland's cities are clearly on an upward trajectory, buoyed by economic momentum. From a consumer perspective, Ireland still has slightly lower consumption per capita than the UK, €24,500 versus €27,000. But this gap reflects higher savings and investment levels in Ireland, rather than lower living standards. Businesses are taking note. The reallocation of global capital and personnel from the UK to Ireland underscores a deeper rebalancing of economic influence. The UK's exit from the EU meant the loss of passporting rights, which allowed British financial institutions to operate seamlessly across Europe. Ireland, by contrast, remains fully integrated into the EU, offering American and other international firms a stable, English-speaking gateway to the continent. Unsurprisingly, tech giants and financial firms are not only opening regional offices in Ireland, but using the country as a central hub for European and global operations. As this economic shift unfolds, Ireland is not only growing richer, but also gaining political and strategic clout. It is increasingly influential within the EU, contributing meaningfully to climate goals and international diplomacy. The Irish government has pledged to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 51% by 2030 and achieve net zero by 2050. It also actively supports the EU's environmental cooperation with developing nations. Ireland's global standing is further enhanced by its robust education system, commitment to peacekeeping, and strong cultural identity. These factors not only attract foreign investment, but also shape the nation's evolving role on the world stage. Foreign direct investment, FDI, remains a central pillar of the Irish economy. According to Pinsent Masons, 20% of all private sector employment in Ireland is directly or indirectly linked to FDI, a powerful indication of how essential this economic strategy has become. This rise in global relevance is also reshaping Ireland's relationship with Northern Ireland. Economic and cultural cooperation across the border is increasing, pointing toward a more integrated and mutually beneficial future. Ultimately, Ireland's rise is about more than just wealth. It symbolizes a national rebirth, a country emerging from a long legacy of colonization and hardship to take its place as a global leader. This evolution has brought a new sense of national pride and purpose, marking Ireland as a country to watch in the coming decades. With a young and growing population, a forward-looking government, and unmatched international appeal, Ireland is well positioned for continued success. The UK, meanwhile, remains focused on resolving internal issues and redefining its role in the world post-Brexit. This divergence in direction could not be more stark, and it is setting the stage for Ireland to not only catch up but to lead.